we are severed from a sense of being, we are consumed by doing. This is how we know self-value. We teach our children, you can't simply play, you must achieve. You can't have a hobby, you must excel at it. You cannot dream, you must dream big. And why really dream if you can't succeed? It is time for us to change the spotlight, to turn it inward.
In her new book, A Radical Awakening, Dr. Shefali teaches women how to break free from societal expectations and rediscover the person they were always meant to be, fully present, conscious, and fulfilled. From her New York City home and ready to talk to us about decluttering our minds, please welcome Dr. Shefali. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, it's my pleasure to be here.
I'm intrigued. This new book focuses in on women. Why the focus just on us?
Well, I think we are at the forefront of all real change. We are the nurturers of our children. We are the ones who connect our families and the communities together. And when we women are feeling disenfranchised and disempowered, silent and lost, then that is what is going to reverberate all around us. So the power, in my opinion, for the liberation of our future generations lies in us women.
You say nothing matters more than our inner state. How do you define one's inner state?
It is the accumulation and culmination of all our emotional experiences from childhood. We paint the palette of our external world with the colors of our emotional experiences, mainly those from our younger years. And without our realizing, we set up experiences in our external world that are repetitions and patterns of these old emotional experiences. So unless we pay attention to how these emotional experiences are still lying unhealed, uncared for, we will keep dumping this internal dysfunction into the external world and wonder why nothing is working out. It all starts from our inner terrain.
Now, I know you say refreshing one's mental state, it's not an overnight thing. Obviously, it didn't happen overnight, so you can't repair it overnight. It's a process that takes time. How does someone even get started?
Well, the first place typically where people begin to wake up, sadly, is through painful experiences. Typically with parents, it's when the child is not doing well in their lives, the child is acting out, or the relationship breaks down, or the job fires us. So it takes a painful, traumatic experience for us to be jolted into an awareness that maybe I need to do something differently. And that first sunlight through the mind is where we can now start reaching out for help, reach out to a trusted therapist or a friend to begin us on the path of asking, how did we co-create our life experiences and how can we disrupt our patterns?
When we come back, Dr. Shefali helps a woman silence all of the inner chatter in her head and achieve a more conscious and present state of mind. Her tips may help you. Stay with us. Welcome back. New York Times bestselling author and clinical psychologist Dr. Shefali is here. She created a whole plan to refresh mind and bring joy into lives. She recently met with a 48-year-old mother of two who admits to feeling overwhelmed and lost in the fog of her busy life.
I'm Shalini Josen. I'm 48 years old. I am a mom of two boys. I'm currently beginning a business. It has been challenging. I've been experiencing some, if you want to call it, brain fog or frustration.
Hi, Shalini.
Hi, Dr. Shefali. I'm so excited to see you.
Talk to me. Tell me how you're doing.
It's so hard right now.
I know.
And I'm confused because I'm trying so hard to build a business. I want to be there for my children.
I know.
And to do both at the same time, I don't know how to do this.
You're trying to get to your goals, but there's so many things cluttering your schedule, cluttering your mind, and cluttering your heart. I want to now help you declutter your mind, because your mind is not in clarity right now. So self-care is your ultimate goal, but you've created all these unrealistic expectations. You have to be a chef, you have to take care of your house, you have to take care of the kids, and you're just racing against the clock.
No, I feel like I'm on a loop. Oh,
because
wow.
underneath is this little Shalini that is still looking for mommy and daddy's approval. You're repeating this pattern. And that's why we set up this big loop of all this busyness. In every cluttered mind is this fear. And that's why the clutter covers it all up.
Wow. I did not know that. I thought I was just trying to be a good mom.
You don't need permission to put yourself first. It's your right to take care of yourself.
Joining us from Plainview, New York, please welcome Shalini Josen. Shalini, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's interesting to hear what you were saying at the end there. All of these things that you were doing, you thought translated into being a good mom.
Yes. Hi, Tamron.
Hi.
Thank you for having me here. Yeah, you know, all the busyness, wanting to be the best cook, driving my kids and attending all of their sporting events, which I love, being a good mom, being a good wife, being available and present were, as Dr. Shefali showed me, that busyness and that cluttered mind was really coming from a place of a deep-rooted fear, a fear of not being good enough. And that was pretty eye-opening for me. It's not something I was aware of. And now that I'm aware of it, and I realized that self-care was something that I really needed to implement in my life, and I was worthy of it. I was worthy to take care of myself. And I actually noticed, Tamron, the more I took care of myself and honored myself and my needs, I was able to do it in a much more loving and beautiful way for my children.
Dr. Shefali, is
And,
there a technique to
yes.
it? I mean, are we supposed to write this down? Or do we go in a corner and meditate on it? How do we start to declutter? Is it a techniques thing?
It's a process. So I don't like to say it's a technique because each person is different, but there is a method to the madness. And we have to go through the steps to deconstruct why we've created such a cluttered life. And in my book, A Radical Awakening, I talk about that the greatest foundation underneath it all is this set of unrealistic expectations that we set up for ourselves in our desire to be perfect. Why? Because we're seeking this love and approval. So Shalini's greatest fear was losing that love and approval. So she was overextending herself in such a chaotic way, but all the while she was losing her own sense of self. And that's what happens to us women in our desire to be seen as perfect. We obliterate our own inner sense of well-being.
A lot of also is, and I could relate to Shalini's story, I struggle to stay present because you are juggling and moving so many things. When people ask, and my team knows, we don't ask people, we don't ask women especially, how do you balance it? Because you don't. But I do think it's a different question of how you stay present, because all of us could benefit from being present in what's happening in our lives.
Well, I think, it's a daily cultivation. So the first step always begins with awareness, being aware that we are being ruled by this unworthiness, this fear, this constant state of anxiety, which then gets translated into control. So we want to do, we want to fix, we want to outperform, we want to over-involve and helicopter everyone in our lives. So the first step always is awareness of the underlying anxiety. And then once you become aware, perhaps we can take a pause and realize, oh my goodness, I'm acting right now in this need to control or fix or yell or scream because I'm anxious inside. So that sacred pause is really pivotal in shifting the pattern to another direction. So once you're in the pause, you begin to ask, why am I so nervous right now? What do I need right now? Why am I seeking so much control in my life right now? And then you begin to do some deep work. And this is where you may need to recruit somebody to help you to go deeper into your old patterns.
It's fascinating. Well, Shalini, thank you so much for sharing your story. Dr. Shefali, thank you. And Dr. Shefali's newest book, A Radical Awakening is available now.